All right, here I have the brand new Wicked Implement, the new scout rifle that you can get from a combination of the fishing and special activity unlocked in deep dives. I'm going to go over the weapon and how I got it done. So very quickly, it is a stasis scout. Its attributes: creeping attrition, rapidly landing, precision hits, causes targets to become slowed. Also, tithing harvest, precision final blows while creeping attrition is active, create a stasis shard that returns to you. Collecting the stasis shards refills the magazine. Now, when you get the catalyst, I believe what it'll eventually do is allow this to overflow the magazine as you are collecting those shards. As of the moment, I don't know that anybody has actually figured out how to get the catalyst, but I hope to do something about that in a moment when people do have more information on it. All that I know for certain is that if you go to the catalysts section of your collections, Wicked Implement says acquired from Deep Dive. If this was just an RNG or something where just getting it and continuing to do it, no problem, I'd have to imagine somebody would have it by now. So it's probably something either time gated or you need to do something very specific, whether that be shooting something with Wicked Implement. That's been the case with other exotics in the past, where using the exotic would somehow allow you to interact with things in the activity in which you got it to then allow you to get the catalyst. So that could be the case, but hopefully I'll have more about that when more information is out there. For the encounter, I recommend that you have one person running Divinity and the other two people using Thunderlord with ad clearing special weapons. You can also use Retrofit Escapade with fourth times the charm and target lock, but the reason that I suggest Thunderlord and the reason that it worked for me on my completion is that the Thunderlord Thunder Strike can stunlock the boss. And with the chain well strategy I'm going to be showing here, you can actually push him off extremely far while you're nuking him and doing it all from the safety of the wells and not having to worry about the ads. Most of the groups I ran with struggled on being able to do damage while staying alive to the final boss. So that's why I went with this triple well strategy here, to allow you as much survivability in the damage phases as possible. You can sub wells for ad clear specs if you're having trouble getting to damage. Here is the hole that you're going to need to crawl through to find the drop down spot for the first statue. The second statue will be after you complete the first encounter. There's a platform on the left. Jump up there. Once the encounter is finished, the door will open and you'll be able to access the second statue. The third statue will be after the doors on your way to the second encounter. You're going to want to be careful as you're dropping down. There will be a spot where if you hang to your left, you will be able to get to that next statue. Here is where you're going to want to start being careful about how far you're dropping down. Make sure you hang to the left here and you will find the last statue. You will now need to complete the next encounter, and once you do, you will have the options to start the quest for the Exotic Scout. Each member of your fire team will need to interact with one of these statues, one member interacting with one each. And once that has happened, you will be able to go through the water and start moving forward. This is to allow everybody to basically consent that you want to stop doing the deep dive because you won't be able to get back and finish the deep dive and move on to the exotic scout rifle quest. The force field here can bug. Sometimes you may have activated all three of the statues, so even if you do jump out, jump back in, and it should go away. Otherwise, make sure that all members have activated a statue. As you're going through here, you're going to want to conserve ammo and abilities, at least in my opinion, as the timer isn't going to start until you take off the first chunk of the boss's health. So the more abilities, the more special, the more heavy, you have to start blazing through ads and the boss, the first boss here, the better. So conserve until you get to the part where his health will start to go down, and once that starts to happen, you are going to be in the area where his or the timer will start, and then at that point you can blow everything because there will be a rally flag between this point and the start of the final boss. Once you reach this room, there will be 3 Minotaur that spawn. Killing a Minotaur will give you a stack of Deathly Sharp. Once you get times 3 Deathly Sharp from killing all 3 Minotaur, you will be able to do maximum damage to the boss and get his first chunk of health down. This is also the mechanic that you will be focusing on while in the final boss encounter. After you have taken off the first chunk of his health and have dropped down into the next area, you're going to want to focus on blowing anything and everything you can to get through this next part as quickly as possible, as the timer will have started. Keeping in mind also that there will be a rally flag before the final boss, which is why I say that you can burn any and everything you can. In this room, there will be 2 little peanuts that you're going to need to shoot in order to open the force field. One will be in the middle of the room when you first enter on that altar, and then the second will be under the stairs where the force field is located. So right here. You also need to make sure that you're killing ads in order to progress. And once you get into the second room, there will be only 1 peanut that you need to worry about. And that will be behind the front right pillar as you enter the room, right here. Portions of the force field will unlock as you continue to do damage and kill ads. And once you have times 3, you can go ahead and nuke down the boss. Now, once you do, it may take a little while for you to be able to get into the final boss room. So you may need to kill some ads while you're waiting. Eventually, they will disappear, and there will be a portion of the wall that opens to let you into the boss room. This, of course, is by far the most important part and most difficult part of this encounter. So what you're going to want to do is spread out. You're going to want to find Minotaur. Eventually, there will be markers that pop up showing you where they are, but you should spread out and look for them on your own, not waiting and wasting time for those markers to show up. One of the Minotaur can be found pretty easily if you basically just keep hanging rights. I very seriously recommend against doing this without a mic because you're going to want to be communicating as to when you get the final Minotaur killed. If somebody dies or is dead while you get that ×3 buff, that person will not be able to do efficient damage to the boss, and you're going to be wasting a lot of time on that damage phase and having spent all that time looking for the Minotaur to start the damage phase. At this point, my team had found the final Minotaur, but because I was so close to dying, I let them know, and they waited until after I had revived in order to kill the final Minotaur. So now you can see that we have the ×3 buff, and we hurry to the center in order to do damage. Keeping in mind not to hurry too much because if you die on the way to the center, you're going to waste the buff, so it's better to take your time getting there if you need to in order to save the damage. My strategy here revolves around finding a wall to put your back against, preferably in a corner. You can use the statues as a corner to drop that well so that when he pushes into your well, you will get booped into the wall or booped into the statue and you won't get flung all over the place and you'll stay in the healing well as he's pushing you. So you can see there that even though we got booped, we didn't move around too much and we're all staying relatively safe. Of course, it's not foolproof, so keep that in mind. Once you get to about 5 seconds left on your well, you're going to want to start moving. Ideally, just far enough away so that he won't suppress you while you cast the second well, but if you need to move further, then definitely move further. If you're doing this correctly, you should be able to do damage pretty much the entire phase from the safety of a well or close to a well and not really need to worry too much about the ads or the boss because you'll keep getting booped into a wall and mostly staying in a well. Once the timer runs out, you will rinse and repeat. As you do damage to the boss, you will notice that the Minotaurs start to spawn closer and closer to the center of the room. You can force a reset on the damage phase if you have everybody with the buff die. The point there being not spending too much time with only one person having the buff and not being able to do good damage while you're waiting for it to reset. When this well strategy is done correctly, the boss will be stunlocked by Thunderlord to the point where he will get pushed exceedingly far out of the well and you'll just be able to unload on him. You should actually be able to chain your wells pretty safely without worrying of him suppressing you, and you can really burn his health down extremely quickly. When I beat this, I saw that the marker was telling me to go essentially in circles. So try to go back to the main room and you should be able to find a spot where there is the statue. Interact with this statue and you will be given the Wicked Implement. This well chaining strategy focuses on being able to do as much damage to the boss as quickly as possible. If you're having trouble getting to the point where you can actually start doing the wells and chaining, you can sub out some wells for ideally arc abilities. They can clear the room really fast, help you get to the boss, and will help you with the arc shield enemies. You'll notice in this clip where I actually succeeded, I was using an arc class, and so were my teammates, but I do recommend giving this well-chained strategy a try. As you saw, it can really just stun lock and push this boss so you can nuke him. Once the boss has been killed, you can find these hidden items for the words and action achievement. Stick around and I'll show you where each of them are located. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, share, comment below regarding what you think worked, what does not work. I really appreciate it. Thank you all.